Okay, good evening. My name is Brianna. I decided to do my book summary on the book called The Lovely Bones. It's also a movie, but of course the book came out first, and this is my second time reading it, and I thought it would be good. When you first think about The Lovely Bones, you might not think that it can tie into psychology, but once you reread a book or you see everything, you start to see different places of where it can actually tie into it. Um, so basically, what I'm going to do is just start off with a summary of the book. The Lovely Bones is basically about a girl, teenage girl named Susie, who was actually raped and then murdered. Um, Throughout the book, we know who actually did this to her, which is her neighbor. Nobody suspects it's the neighbor because he's loving and nice, of course. So basically, in the book, we are on Susie's side, hoping that somebody finds out what this neighbor has done to her. Um, we are able to see it from her side, and we see the glimpses of her family and their friends and the grief of how they're just trying to cope with knowing that somebody did this to her. Um, in it, we see all the sides of the characters. She even shows us the side of the neighbor who actually did this to her, how he's struggling because he feels bad because he's done this to other girls, but yet at the end there's some type of satisfaction for it. Um, Basically was stating that he has these dreams after his killings where they're beautiful and it makes him wants to do it more. Um, so different aspects that you see in the book, and it's basically a mystery and psychological and trying to figure out of how everybody is feeling and thinking at the same time. However, what I want to focus on is the grieving process, basically of what her family dealt with. Everybody, of course, knows that grieving is basically different for everybody. And I feel like that's where the psychology ties into it because of the different types of grieving. Um, I did some research on it, and basically I went to two different websites. One was mdjunction.com, and then the other one was psychotherapy.net. Psychotherapy.net was basically just an interview with a psychologist, and he was stating just the different types of grieving and what we think of it back in the day and what we can think about it now. I think it just ties into more of the book because of we can see the characters more because of their grieving process. Um, with psychology, there are two main types of grieving. They say there's an intuitive grieving and then there's the instrumental grieving. With intuitive grieving, that's basically they have these prolonged types of confusion. They're more likely to lash out and don't know how to basically hold their feelings in. It makes me think of the dad because the dad is not listening to the police in the book. He's not listening to his wife. He wants to find out who did this to his daughter. He doesn't care how. He doesn't care what he has to do. If he has to kill somebody or beat somebody up so bad to find out some information, he's going to do it. Um, their feelings are just intensified and they just want to know what's going on. And then with the instrumental grieving process, that's basically more subtle. They don't want to be in their feelings. They want to mask them, basically. They don't have this intensity of trying to figure stuff out because they're grieving and they don't want that extra pressure. So that makes me think of mom in the book because she's more reserved and she doesn't want to have all her feelings. She knows that she has to keep it together for everybody else. Um, so those two types of grievings definitely made me think that this would be a good book for psychology or about it because you everybody knows that people go through different things and handle things differently, but to finally know that there's two different types of grieving that someone can take that will actually determine how they will feel, how they will end up, it's kind of cool to me. I also did that research on that psychotherapy.net, and it was basically stating that back in the day, the process of grieving was more of like a Freud's type of aspect, where the process of grieving was to let that person go completely, to have detachment from them. However, in this process now, it's not basically having detachment and letting that person go, but changing the way that you see that person. Like, we always say we can feel somebody's presence or stuff like that. So it's nowadays it's a more emphasis of not becoming detached from them, but having a bond that's different. So it's basically just a changing a process. And I feel like in this book, this definitely shows the detachment not being actually detached, but just another form of a bond. In the end, thank goodness they find out that the neighbor actually did this, and of course he's arrested and everything like that. And Susie is able to see her family still grieve but become happy, and they know that in the end everything is fine. Of course it hurts now, but now that they know who actually did this and they can put that to rest, it makes everything better. And now Susie is realizing throughout the book that she is gone, that she is having death, and she's not going to be here anymore. And you just see the different aspects of each character and of how this can affect them, and the steps psychologically, how their mind processes work to figure out exactly what's the next step to do. How do I handle this? How do I move on with my life now that Susie is not here? Um, it's a really great book and it's a great movie. I would suggest you reading and watching both of them. So I do thank you for watching this, and hopefully I examined the psychology part of it. But like, my main point is about the grieving and how it can be tied in to this book and the different steps of grieving and the main reasons of how we go through it. So thank you. Bye.